Hello, and welcome to the channel. Today's video we are covering 20 of the creepiest yet credible alien encounters, abductions, and sightings in modern history. Enjoy, and remember to like, subscribe, and comment your favorite alien encounter stories down below. The Betty and Barney Hill abduction, 1961, New Hampshire, USA. This case is often called the first widely publicized alien abduction in the United States. Betty and Barney Hill were driving home from a trip to Canada when they noticed a bright object following their car through the White Mountains. Eventually, they stopped to get a closer look and saw what they described as a disc-shaped craft hovering silently. The next thing they knew, they were 35 miles down the road with almost 2 hours of missing time. Under hypnosis, both Betty and Barney described being taken aboard a spacecraft, examined by humanoid beings, and shown a star map that Betty later drew from memory. Astronomers later claimed her drawing resembled the Zeta Reticuli system. Skeptics argue sleep deprivation or false memories, but the Hills' consistency and genuine distress made the case legendary. The Travis Walton abduction, 1975, Arizona, USA. Travis Walton was part of a logging crew near Snowflake, Arizona, when he and his co-workers spotted a glowing craft hovering in the forest. Walton approached it and was hit by a blue beam of light that threw him backward. His co-workers fled in panic, but returned to find him gone. Walton reappeared 5 days later, disoriented and malnourished, claiming he'd been taken aboard a craft where he saw both human-like and alien beings. His story was investigated by police and covered by national news. All 6 of his co-workers passed polygraphs confirming they saw the craft and the beam. Walton's case remains one of the most famous abduction stories and inspired the film Fire in the Sky. The Rendlesham Forest Incident, 1980, Suffolk, England, often called Britain's Roswell. This event took place near RAF Bentwaters, a joint US-UK airbase. Over 3 nights, dozens of military personnel reported strange lights descending into the forest. Deputy Base Commander Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt recorded audio during the second night as he and his men observed glowing objects moving through the trees and one hovering near the ground. They found impressions in the soil, burn marks on trees, and readings of elevated radiation levels. The official explanation was a misidentified lighthouse beam, but the witnesses were trained military observers who stood by their accounts for decades. Even Holt himself maintains it was a genuine encounter with something not of this world. The Phoenix Lights, 1997, Arizona, USA. On March 13, 1997, thousands of people across Arizona and Nevada witnessed a massive V-shaped formation of lights silently gliding through the night sky. The craft was described as enormous, blocking out stars as it passed overhead. Witnesses ranged from pilots to police officers to the governor of Arizona, Fife Symington, who initially mocked the event, but later admitted he believed it was real. The military claimed the lights were flares from a training exercise, but that doesn't explain the slow, silent, coordinated formation seen earlier in the evening. The Phoenix Lights remain one of the most well-documented mass UFO sightings in modern history. The Aerial School Encounter, 1994, Zimbabwe. At a small rural school in Ruwa, Zimbabwe, more than 60 children reported seeing a silver craft land near their playground. Small beings with large black eyes emerged and seemed to communicate telepathically with the kids. The children described similar messages about environmental destruction and humanity's future. Harvard psychiatrist Dr. John Mack, a Pulitzer Prize winner, interviewed the children shortly after and found their stories strikingly consistent and sincere. None of the children gained fame or money from the incident, and even decades later, many still stand by what they saw. The Cash Landrum Incident, 1980, Texas, USA. Betty Cash, Vicki Landrum, and Vicki's 7-year-old grandson were driving near Houston when they encountered a large diamond-shaped object emitting flames and heat so intense it caused burns and nausea. They saw helicopters circling the object as it moved away. The trio later suffered radiation-like symptoms, including hair loss and skin damage. They filed a lawsuit against the U.S. government, suspecting a secret military craft, but the case was dismissed due to lack of evidence. No conventional aircraft could explain their injuries or the intense light and heat they described. The Pascagoula abduction, 1973, Mississippi, USA. Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker were fishing off a pier when they saw a strange oval object with flashing lights descend nearby. 3 robotic beings floated toward them and paralyzed them before taking them aboard a craft. Inside, they were examined with strange instruments and then released. Both men reported the event to police immediately and were recorded privately afterward, still terrified and consistent in their stories. The case gained credibility when other witnesses reported seeing unusual lights that same night. The Westall UFO incident, 1966 Australia. More than 200 students and teachers at Westall High School near Melbourne saw a metallic disc hovering over a nearby field before it shot off at high speed. Some said smaller objects were flying around it. Within hours, military personnel arrived, cordoned off the area, and allegedly confiscated evidence. Witnesses later recalled being told to stay quiet. To this day, no satisfactory explanation has been given, and many of the witnesses remain adamant that what they saw was not man-made. The Kenneth Arnold sighting, 1947, Washington, USA. Pilot Kenneth Arnold reported seeing 9 shiny objects flying in formation near Mount Rainier at incredible speeds. When describing their movement, he said they skipped like saucers on water, giving rise to the term flying saucer. His sighting sparked massive media coverage and essentially launched the modern UFO era. The military took his report seriously, but no aircraft could be identified that matched his description. Arnold's credibility as an experienced pilot helped legitimize the phenomenon for decades afterward. The Tehran UFO incident, 1976, Iran. Iranian Air Force pilots scrambled 2 F-4 jets after radar detected a bright object over Tehran. Each time they approached, their equipment malfunctioned and weapon systems shut down. Witnesses on the ground and in the air saw bright maneuvering lights that defied conventional flight. A U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency report later confirmed the event and noted that the object displayed advanced capabilities far beyond known technology. It remains one of the most credible military UFO encounters ever documented. The Lonnie Zamora encounter, 1964, New Mexico, USA. Police officer Lonnie Zamora was chasing a speeding car near Socorro when he heard a roar and saw a flame in the sky. Investigating, he came upon a white egg-shaped craft on the ground with 2 small beings nearby. When they noticed him, the craft emitted a loud noise and took off vertically. The landing site showed burned vegetation and impressions in the soil. Project Blue Book investigators found Zamora to be an extremely credible witness with no motive for a hoax. The case remains unexplained and one of the most solid single-witness UFO reports. The Allagash Abductions, 1976, Maine, USA. 4 friends on a camping trip saw a bright light over a lake and later found they had missing time. Under hypnosis, all 4 recalled being taken aboard a craft and subjected to medical-like examinations. Their stories were nearly identical even when interviewed separately years apart. Skeptics suggest shared delusion or hypnosis contamination, but the men's trauma and lifelong consistency have kept the case among the most famous group abduction stories. The Val Johnson incident, 1979, Minnesota, USA. Deputy Sheriff Val Johnson was on patrol late at night when a bright light engulfed his car, knocking him unconscious. When he awoke, his car's windshield was shattered. His watch and the car clock were both stopped for 14 minutes, and his eyes showed burns similar to mild sun exposure. The case was thoroughly investigated and remains unexplained. Johnson was known as a reliable officer and refused any publicity. His patrol car, still damaged, is displayed in a local museum. The Shag Harbor incident, 1967, Nova Scotia, Canada. Multiple witnesses, including police officers, saw a glowing object crash into the waters off Shag Harbor. Believing it to be a plane, rescuers arrived but found no wreckage, only a thick yellow foam on the surface. Canadian and U.S. military divers searched the area and found nothing. The official report labeled it a UFO, meaning unidentified flying object, and not a hoax or aircraft. It's one of the few UFO cases officially documented by government agencies as unexplained. The Tic Tac UFO, 2004, Pacific Ocean. During a Navy training mission, multiple U.S. fighter pilots encountered a white, oval-shaped object that moved erratically and accelerated in ways no known aircraft could. The object dropped from 80,000 feet to near sea level in less than a second, according to radar data. Commander David Fravor visually confirmed it during a chase, describing it as a smooth, featureless craft shaped like a Tic Tac. Years later, the Pentagon released the infrared video of the encounter, confirming its authenticity. It's now one of the most credible UFO incidents ever made public, and was a major factor in the U.S. government's modern acknowledgement of unidentified aerial phenomena. The Kelly Hopkinsville Encounter, 1955, Kentucky, USA. This bizarre case started when a family in rural Kentucky burst into a police station claiming their farmhouse was under siege by little green men. 11 people, including adults and children, told police that small, metallic-skinned creatures with glowing eyes had surrounded their home, peering through windows and trying to enter through the roof. The family fired multiple guns throughout the night, but the creatures seemed unaffected, floating away each time they were hit. When officers investigated, they found shell casings and bullet holes, but no bodies or blood. The witnesses were visibly shaken and described the same details independently. The Air Force and local police could never explain what happened. Some suggested owls or monkeys escaped from a circus, but nothing matched the witnesses' accounts. The Hopkinsville Goblins became one of the strangest and most well-documented close encounters in American history. The Stephenville Lights, 2008, Texas, USA. Hundreds of residents of Stephenville, Texas, including local pilots and law enforcement officers, reported seeing enormous silent lights or glowing crafts hovering and moving at incredible speeds across the sky. Some described an object as large as a football field. Others saw lights darting off in formation. The U.S. military initially denied any activity, but later admitted that fighter jets were training in the area. Witnesses, however, claimed what they saw moved far too fast and quietly to be ordinary planes. Radar records obtained later confirmed that unidentified objects were indeed present, traveling at impossible speeds. This case drew national attention because of the volume of credible witnesses and the proximity to Fort Worth's airspace, making it one of the strongest modern mass sightings in the U.S. The Falcon Lake Incident, 1967, Manitoba, Canada. Stefan Michalak, an amateur geologist, encountered 2 UFOs while prospecting near Falcon Lake. One landed nearby, and when he approached, he described hearing voices and seeing a metallic craft with an open hatch. When he reached out to touch it, the craft suddenly lifted off, blasting him with a grid-like pattern of hot gas that burned his chest. Doctors later confirmed strange burn marks matching the pattern of a vent or exhaust. Radiation levels were elevated at the site, and his clothes tested positive for unusual metallic residues. Michalak suffered recurring illness for years afterward. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police investigated, but found no hoax or natural explanation. The physical evidence makes this one of the most thoroughly documented UFO encounters ever recorded. The Coyame Incident, 1974, Chihuahua, Mexico. This case is often called Mexico's Roswell. Mexican radar reportedly tracked an unidentified craft entering their airspace before colliding midair with a small civilian plane near the town of Coyame. Both wrecks were found in the desert, but the retrieval teams reportedly fell ill or died soon after contact. U.S. intelligence allegedly monitored the recovery and intervened to remove the debris. No official records of the incident were ever released, but locals reported seeing large convoys of military trucks heading into the desert and helicopters removing something under heavy guard. While the details remain murky, multiple sources over the years have described an intense joint recovery effort followed by silence. It's one of the few alleged cases involving a mid-air collision between a UFO and human aircraft. The Trans-en-Provence case, 1981, France. This is one of the best scientifically analyzed UFO landing cases in Europe. A farmer named Renato Nicolai saw a small gray craft land briefly in his field, emitting a soft whistling noise before lifting off and vanishing. When investigators from France's official UFO study group, GEPEN, arrived, they found physical traces in the soil and crushed vegetation. Lab analysis revealed high heat exposure and pressure consistent with something weighing several tons. Chemical changes in the plants suggested short-term radiation or electromagnetic effects. The French government treated the case seriously and classified it as unexplained with strong physical evidence. To this day, the Trans-en-Provence incident stands as one of the most scientifically credible UFO cases ever recorded. Thanks for watching today's video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment your favorite alien encounters down below.